I got okay, now.
Yes.
Welcome to the regular meeting of the Public Art Review Board of November 15th, 2023. The time is 6:00 p.m. I invite Becky to call roll.
All right. Member Kovlowski is absent this evening. Member Merritt.
Here.
Member Sandoval.
Here.
Chair Schaufler.
Here.
And Member Zhao.
Here.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to approve the regular meeting minutes of July. Was that the last time we met? July 12th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve? Yep. In a second?
Second.
All in favor? Wait, no.
So just, we do have opportunity for any public comment on
public comment
minutes. Yeah.
On the regular meeting minutes of July 12th, 2023.
And I'll just chime in too real quick, Becky. You know, we recently as a city did just make a change where at the moment we're not accepting any public comment from online. So if there's any, and there's a whole kind of write-up on the website on that if you're interested, but at this point in time, we're only accepting public comment from anyone who's here in the room. So I'd be looking at you two at this point in time. So.
Okay, great. Just, we can talk about it after, but the piece that you sent us, like the public comment that came in beforehand.
Yeah, this actually would be probably for the when we get to that item,
yeah. Okay.
we would bring that up. Yeah.
All right, so then if there's no other feedback, then we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of July 12th. Can I, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?
I think we do.
Becky has to call roll.
Becky,
two votes. Yeah. Sorry, Becky.
Talking to myself over here. No wonder you couldn't hear me. Member Merritt.
Yes. Approved.
Member Sandoval.
Yes.
Chair Schaufler.
Yes.
And Member Zhao.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Thank you.
Great. At this time, I would like to open public comment for in-person participants on any matters not listed on the agenda that pertain to the Public Art Review Board. At this time, then, I will close public comment. And there's no questions, so the staff does not need to respond. And we have no special presentations. I'd like to call agenda item 3, 3A, I guess, review and select the 2024 Falkirk Cultural Center art exhibitions. I invite questions and answer. Do we have to see them first?
Yes, yeah, we can. Yeah. So I think that that is us.
That is us.
I'll do a quick little intro. I want to introduce a couple staff that are here as well. Debbie Youngkin, Senior Recreation Supervisor, and Patty McCauley, who right now is really helping us out up at Falkirk Cultural Center. One thing I will share, our program coordinator, Christina Farhane, who I think you've met at one of our past meetings. We're excited for her, but we're also sad because she took another position. She moved to Spain. So if you get a chance to visit her in Spain, I'm sure it's likely, but we're definitely sad to not have her in the role as the Falkirk Cultural Center program coordinator any longer. We do an active recruitment for that position, so I'm expecting that in future rounds, if we have business to bring you about Falkirk, or probably not the community gardens, that probably wouldn't be under your purview, but we are hoping to do that recruitment and interview process in the coming weeks and have someone on board in early 2022. So a little bit of lead in there, but again, so I'm Craig Berman, the Assistant Library and Recreation Director for the city, and it's going to share a little overview of this process. And I have a presentation I'll pull up here in just a second, so we'll have some visuals. And I just wanted to say, if either of you want to swing around so you can watch with us here, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So let's see if we can get this going. Okay. And Becky, can you see that okay on your end?
Yes, it looks great. Thank you.
Right. So I think in a previous meeting, we brought forward to the board an overview of our Falkirk Cultural Center programs, and I think we outlined some of those again in the staff report attached to this agenda. And so I'm not going to go into depth into all of the programs that we offer at Falkirk. We're really focused tonight on the art exhibition component of what we offer at the Falkirk Cultural Center. And so I'm going to turn it over to Debbie to maybe share a little background and info on kind of maybe the history of like what we have done recently in recent years.
So basically over the years, Falkirk has sort of developed and expanded with program opportunities. It's always been a site for wedding venues, event venues, and all of that, but we do add in art classes such as watercolor and pastel. And we have the greenhouse that's on site, and we have a partnership with the Marin Master Gardeners and UC Cooperative Extension that run the greenhouse that's out of Falkirk. We have been working to expand our art exhibits over the years, increasing them slowly and steadily, especially post COVID. So looking towards 2024, we will have a full slate, which we're very excited about. And this shows you in 2022, we had six slots that we were able to fill. We do a winter jury show where we do partner with an artist from the outside to help us do a call for art and review what goes into that show. We have the Terra Ceramics artist. The ceramics program out of Terra is very successful, and this gives them an opportunity to showcase their work. Marin Open Studios, we have Kendall C. King, Art to Amuse and Delight, as well as the California Watercolor Show has been coming in for the last few years. And in 2023, we only had 4 exhibits, which was the Winter Invitational, again, the Ceramic Show, and Marin Open Studios. We had a shift in staffing between 2022 and 2023, so we weren't able to offer as many exhibit opportunities. And each exhibit, we do an opening reception. Each runs for about 6 weeks. We do provide open hours, which are Tuesday through Friday in the afternoons, as well as on Saturdays. We do have some exceptions in which when we have rentals, we're unable to be open for open hours. We do partner with Artworks Downtown to try to coordinate our opening reception to when they have Artworks Downtown on Friday nights. The artists can work with us to sell their items. The city does collect 30% of those. We do provide some additional signage and marketing material that we get out. And we provide a digital version of the artwork that goes online as well. So people who can't make the exhibit can also check out what's going on the website. There are different ways in which an artist can work with us. One requirement that we do have for all artists is that they do provide general liability insurance. There's either 2 options in that the artist can either rent the space through us, or they can have an agreement with us that we will take a portion of the sales from the exhibits. And yeah.
So, looking ahead, one of the things that we brought to you in a prior meeting was our desire to try to increase competitiveness for some of these exhibit spaces. I think we also want to be as transparent as we can as a public agency. Part of our goal is to really turn some of the decision-making over to this board in regard to what is the type of artwork that should be on exhibit at Falkirk. I think in the past, staff have been faced with decisions on, assessing quality, assessing, the diversity of the artwork, assessing and some values-based decisions that are really difficult for our staff to view as public staff. So we wanted to really look at ways we could change that process. And what we decided to do is to, on a pilot program basis, to try a call for artists, more of an annual RFP process, request for proposals, to see how that went. And that resulted in some a good number of applications. What we're looking at for 2024, though, is a limited number of exhibit spaces available. I think we're trying to balance some existing relationships we have with this new process. And what we've decided to do for 2024 is maintain 3 of the shows that we've held in previous years and open up 3 of those exhibits to the RFP process. So we do have, for the beginning of the year, we're planning on our winter, the winter group exhibit, the Terralinda Ceramics group exhibit, and then Bryn Open Studios will take place later in the spring. So the 3 exhibits that are open are the 3 towards the latter half of the year. We're going to be focusing on trying to select artists for those 3 exhibits this evening. So the process so far to date, artists have submitted a proposal. We did a solicitation in September. I think the deadline for that was early October. We received 26 proposals. So again, 26 proposals for only 3 open exhibit slots. We're really excited about that. That shows that there's strong demand for this space. We wish we had more exhibit space to offer. But we do know that we also are putting you in a tough position to make some decisions on a limited number of spaces, and it's hard to say no. So just want to acknowledge that. We're really appreciative of all the artists who put time into submitting proposals, knowing that not everyone will have the opportunity to exhibit with us this year. I would share, though, that for those artists who do not obtain an exhibit slot with us, there would be some other opportunities for them still to exhibit at Falkirk. We do have a call for artists that's open right now for that winter show, the first one. I believe the deadline for that is December 11th to get proposals in. So that would be an opportunity. The Bryn Open Studios also would be an opportunity to exhibit. So even if it doesn't work this round, there would hopefully be future opportunities for artists to participate. So after we received proposals, what we did is we tried to look initially at eligibility to make sure that we brought you proposals that we felt were viable from staff's perspective. So we looked at a few key things, which I'll review in just a second. And now we're bringing you what we feel are the highest ranking proposals based on some objective eligibility requirements. So this is what we looked at. The first thing we looked at are making sure that artists were willing to comply with the Falkirk exhibit guidelines. That was a requirement. If artists were unable to provide insurance, for example, we did eliminate them from review for this round. We also looked at making sure that artists were available during at least one of the exhibit blocks, that proposals were complete and thorough, and that they included all the requested information. I think we asked 3 or 4 pretty straightforward questions. So I think most artists were able to comply with that. We did take a look at whether artists reside in or create their work in the city of San Rafael, as well as whether they reside or create their work in Marin County. That's not a driving factor, but we do feel like it's important and does speak to the relevance of the art for our San Rafael residents. We looked at whether it's logistically feasible. So, for example, if there was a large scale sculpture or something that just would not fit within the exhibit space that we have, we did take that into consideration. And we also took a look at whether proposals were group exhibits that were showcasing multiple artists, whether artists were willing to potentially share space. We have 3 different rooms for exhibit space, and we asked artists whether they would be willing to use maybe just 1 or 2 of those rooms, or if they required all 3 of those rooms for their exhibit. And we also took a look at whether artists have exhibited at Falkirk in the last 3 years. We have had artists that you're going to see that have exhibited in the last maybe 5, 6, 7 years, some that have exhibited more frequently than others in the last couple of years. But generally, most of the artists you're going to see here have not exhibited with us in the last several years. And we did take a look at that. That's not a driving factor in how we weighted our initial eligibility, but we do think it's important to make sure that the exhibits are diverse, that we rotate frequently, and that people have an opportunity to exhibit up at Falkirk, and it's not just, you know, the same groups every single season. So those were the things that we took a look at. After we assessed all the proposals, what that left us with is we determined that there were around 11 proposals that seems to kind of separate up and be the highest ranking proposals. There was a, when we looked at kind of the total point value, there was a pretty big jump from number 11 to number 12. And that seemed like kind of a natural cutoff point, given the number of exhibit spaces that we have. We didn't want to bring all, you know, 26 of those proposals to you. We felt like that would just be a little too challenging to really understand how to make the decision. So we made this decision to bring the top 11 proposals to you tonight. So this is an overview of those proposals. You know, we do have them listed in order of the ranking that they received. So number 1 on this list did receive the most points based on this objective ranking that we use. I just want to clarify, that does not necessarily indicate that this is staff's recommendation that they should get first, you know, priority of that space. That's just the objective ranking that was utilized to get to this point. But I do think it's an important indicator to kind of take into consideration that it did score well based on the criteria that we put forward. So you'll see the rankings, an overview of the artists, the name of the proposal that they've shared, the medium that they're intending to use in the exhibit, as well as their availability for each of the 3 different exhibit slots. So if there's an X by July, that means that they're available for that July time period. If there's no X there, then they've indicated that they would not be available. And then the last column indicates how many rooms their exhibit would require for their show. Most of the exhibits have indicated they'd be willing to utilize just 1 room. A couple have said, you know, they prefer 2 or 3. I believe the only show that indicated they would require all 3 was the California Watercolor Association. That is a large group. I would share that they have shown with us the last several years. I believe they have a 500-person membership, and they do curate that show from kind of the best of that group. So you know, I think one of the reasons that they would require 3 rooms is just because they have so many decisions to make on how they would curate that exhibit, and that would best represent the group's needs. So this is an overview of what we're bringing forward to you tonight. We did include each of these proposals as part of the agenda packet, and artists did include examples of their artwork, descriptions of their exhibit, what they would hope to accomplish and bring forward to the community. And just for sake of time, as well as the length of presentation, we did choose not to include all 11 of those proposals on the screen tonight. However, we do have hard copies here of each of those proposals if you'd like to review them as you're discussing. And we also have digital versions of the proposal that we can pull up on a case-by-case basis if you feel like it would be helpful to weigh your decisions. So what we're asking you to take on this evening is to now review these 11 proposals and consider who should receive exhibit space for the 2024 season. One of the things I wanted to share at this point as you're looking at these criteria is that you could choose to allocate space in a couple of different ways. You could choose to allocate a single room to an exhibit. You could choose to allocate multiple rooms or all 3 rooms to a single exhibit. If you chose to allocate all 3 rooms to 1 exhibit for July, for example, that means that's the only artist that would get the entirety of the Falkirk exhibit. And if you did that for all 3 blocks, that would mean only 3 artists or collective groups would have that opportunity to exhibit. However, if you chose to allocate a single room and do that for 3 artists for July, theoretically you could accommodate up to 9 artists throughout the season. And so we're going to be leaving that decision up to you and how you choose to allocate space based on what the artists have shared with us. But these are the criteria we're hoping that you'll use in that assessment. Is this something of community interest? Does it reflect the diversity of San Rafael? Do the artists or does the group demonstrate that they have the qualifications and they've demonstrated a high quality of work? And does the design seem relevant and appropriate considered in context of Falkirk and our community needs? So, some of those are probably open for discussion and interpretation. And we really wanted to leave that up to you to help us decipher what best meets our needs moving forward. So, and Debbie or Patty, anything you'd add to anything so far? Okay. So I think at that point, I would open up the questions and, throughout the, ensuing discussion, happy to share more information up on the screen if we need to as we discuss. So,
You mean we can ask questions?
yeah, that's the end of the presentation.
Oh. So just so I understand, you're not going to pull up examples of each artist's work for us to see?
I can. I'd be happy to. We could go through each one individually if you prefer. I'm happy to do whatever is going to help you in your decision-making process. So,
well, I think for me personally, I would really like to see which ones I was trying to decipher, and I think I understood, but which ones are definitely group shows versus individual shows. That would be really helpful. Like, I don't know, did you mean that? Some of them I could tell, but some I was like, are we sure?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I was looking at it and it said like the applicant's name, but then a group. So to me, it looks like number one is multiple people.
Yeah, so let's just go walk through
Great.
them maybe one by one, and if you'd like, I could also pull up the proposal so we can take a look. But I do know that number one is a two-person show. The two individuals named there.
Mm-hmm.
The second show is also a group called the Second Friday Salon.
Sorry, is this in the packet? Like, oh, let's take notes there.
Yeah, okay.
See if I can. You want me to make a couple copies of this? I know you asked me beforehand, should I make copies of that? So, yeah. And we've got the hard copies here as well that we can just kind of pass out if you're interested in taking a look at any. These are, I believe, in order, but they're not stapled right now. So feel free to kind of.
Thank you. Sorry, I just was like, that's really going to help me make my decision.
Yeah, each one of these is a different one, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
so they're kind of flip flop. So yeah.
But we can kind of describe them out if we're going to title.
Okay.
Or here, you want this one.
That's one.
Each is up.
Yeah, each one
our
is.
piece.
The
Yeah.
top right corner, you'll find what number they are.
Yeah,
stamped
got it.
red.
Thank you.
And what I would share,
Just,
since
like, lay 'em
this
out?
is a yeah, I was gonna say, since this is kind of a pilot program process, we're gonna try to be iterative and adaptive here.
Yeah.
So, next year when we bring this to you, we can kind of learn from this experience and bring information in a way that makes sense to you. So,
Can I ask a couple of like operational questions about the Falkirk, just so I better understand? Like who curates and hangs the shows? Is it the individual artists themselves?
It is the artist that we would work with who would install the show.
Okay, so they make all of the exhibit
Yes.
decisions. Yeah, we're thinking, okay. And then how long you give them 2 weeks for installation essentially?
So
for
it's
takedown?
roughly anywhere, from a week to 2 weeks, depending on staff time and how long they need to put the exhibit up.
Okay. And then I noticed that there's like a big chunk, like a month where from December to January, is that just?
We're typically dark for at least 2 weeks out of that time.
Okay.
But based on the amount of requests for proposals that we received this year, it might be something that we're considering for next year as to how do we shorten the exhibit time frame and maybe include 1 or 2 more exhibits for next, for the following year.
Okay.
How does that look?
Yeah. Okay. And then the last question is just a city question. I noticed that it says it can't be political or religious or sexual in nature. I mean, I think that's, obviously up for interpretation, but I don't know, that feels a little bit, I mean, I guess, is it because of city rules, city laws?
yeah, I think, when we looked at the role of the Public Art Review Board, we did want to make sure that things were not, going to be overtly offensive to large numbers of people in the community. I think we're going to leave some of those decisions up to you to interpret. I believe you're right. I think there are some things that are up for interpretation.
Okay.
I think art can be interpreted in a wide variety of ways, and sometimes it's really hard to know what the artist's intent was. or how people might respond to that artwork. And that's why that's a really difficult thing to navigate.
Yeah.
I think some things may be very clearly and overtly advertising or political in nature. And I think if something is very clearly and obviously going to be in conflict with those guidelines, I would caution whether it's something that should be exhibited in a public government agency art exhibit. And so I think that's why these are guidelines. They are up for interpretation, and I really leave that.
Okay, thank you for answering. Sorry, I had lots of questions.
Can I see the?
What do you think is the easiest way to review it? Should we like?
I feel like
Yeah.
well, I
Just
think
more clear on the.
these are a lot of answers. I'm
More.
Yeah.
yeah.
So people like a kind of like a small.
I know there was a question a moment ago too about how these were group exhibits versus solo.
Yeah, can we go through that?
Maybe we can start there and go through there, and then what I can do is I can pull up the proposals on the screen so that we can see kind of larger examples.
Yeah, that would be great.
We'll go through just confirm in the proposals. My understanding again, Cindy Ostroff and Susan Turek is a two-person. Are one of you? You're Cindy, two-person show. Great, good to confirm that. And then number 2 on the list, also a group show. I believe number 3 on the list is an individual show. Number 4 would be an individual show. Number 5, an individual show. Number 6 would be group. Number 7 would be group. And number 8 would be group. I believe number 9 is an individual. Number 10 and number 11 are also individuals.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so
I'm going to stop share on the screen.
Yeah.
And then I am going to pull up.
Yeah. And here's the CV.
oh, wow, it's long.
Okay, so this is the first proposal. And I'm just going to we can look at anything that you'd like to look at on the screen, but I'm going to scroll down to the artwork examples themselves.
Can I interrupt, Kristen?
Sure.
I don't know if this is a you question, but we want to establish like how we want to do this because like before we jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I think we should maybe do is each make like a mark of a yes or no individually, and then come together to discuss it. I don't know. What do you think? What was the vision here? Was there one?
Well, I think generally speaking, given the again, you could allocate space to up to 9 artists. There are some limitations in availability here. So for example, I think only 6 of the artists have demonstrated that they're available for July, whereas 10 of the 11 artist groups have demonstrated availability for November. So I will leave it really up to you and how you want to approach this, but one way of looking at it might be to say, what are the best shows that or best exhibits for July, based on who is available in July, who is best available in September or November. That might be one way of taking a look at that. And then taking a look at how many rooms you'd be allocating to each of those artists for that particular exhibit. Again, I don't think you need to strictly adhere to the way that staff scored these or ranked these, but I do think that may be a useful guide to take a look at the objective rankings, who ranked number 1 on that list, and maybe take a close look at those and work your way down that list. That might be a recommendation that I would have, but again, I believe that is up to you. That's only one of the criteria to take a look at. And then from there, I think, like I mentioned, this is a real pilot. We're really open to adapting to making changes in the future. So It's pretty open-ended how you choose to make those decisions this evening, but I'm happy to discuss, talk about it, and kind of maybe refine as we go.
Can I propose something? I would really like to see all of the art first before having any conversation, and just take some notes to ourselves, and then maybe.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was.
Yeah.
I also agree, because though I understand the sort of idea behind all of the rankings, I don't necessarily think that is where I would go first for decision making. The other thing is, even if they're available on these dates, like we can't take everybody, which even from this list, which is too bad. Necessarily. But the one other question I would have, just this is a logistical question too. For these group exhibitions, these group shows, who could in theory fill full rooms? Like what if we say they can only have one room, are they still gonna go forward?
Yeah, so that last column lets you know, like with number 1 with Cindy Ostrup and Susan, it says 1 or 2. They prefer 2, but they're willing to do it for 1.
Right. Okay.
And same with like Scott Meadows, he's 1 to 3, 3's preferred, but they will do down to 1.
So like this one here says 3.
Yeah, they need all 3 rooms. That's what their requirement is. So if we decide that we wanted to allow for multiple artists, then they
Got it.
wouldn't fit that.
Okay.
Criteria.
But yeah, I think if it's possible, I agree, because then I would really prefer to see them all.
And then maybe we can just take give it like 2 minutes or 3 minutes and just take some notes, and then maybe go back
There's
to
one, there's one like a 7+1. I don't think so, like group or
Which one?
there's another 6.
Yeah, that's a big group.
So, do they have something like us?
Yes, they will. Yeah, I think they all. Yeah.
I think the other thing I'll mention, I think, once we have received your recommendations for who you would like to allocate space to, there will still be some requirements of the artists. At this point, we have not asked them to provide insurance, sign off on their agreements. And so I would also just mention that there is always a chance that one of the artists maybe is either unable or their plans change. So I would say maybe there's an opportunity to even recommend some alternates for each of the exhibits, so kind of keeping that in mind as well.
I like that. I don't know. Is the biggest room is the downstairs room? Is that correct? No.
There's
3 rooms are on the second floor.
and they're all equal size.
So all the work that I've seen in the downstairs area is from it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Historical.
Got it. Makes sense.
Okay, so this is number 1 on your list. This is Double Vision.
Can we shut the light for better reading
Sure.
color?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
That helps a lot.
It just feels better in general.
Yes.
So let me know when you'd like me to advance to, I think there's several pages here for those proposals.
You can scroll up. So we can see the rest. There's more
I think it's down.
down.
This is the,
Sorry.
yeah.
That's
Let me pause real quick. Becky, I believe that you're unable to see what we're sharing right now. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I don't see anything.
I'll share my screen just so that you can see this as well. We just started. We actually started here. These were the first 2 pieces of artwork. Just for the record here. And this was the next 2. We'll just continue to scroll. Feel free to stop me if you'd like to pause.
Can you scroll down a little bit more so I can read?
It's a little smaller, and that way we can see everything else at the time.
So like here, just going back to this question about like politics. Given everything that's going on right now, like is like having like a Hebrew letter for peace, like is that going to be misinterpreted, or you guys feel fine about that?
We're going to leave those decisions up.
Okay. I feel
Which number is
These are all number one.
Awesome.
All of these are examples of art from number one.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
No,
How
you're
big
okay.
are these? How big are these pieces? Like, is everyone know?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. The artist is here, we could perhaps ask.
Yeah.
How big are these works?
Oh, they vary. Some of them are, this big, some are about that big.
Okay.
So take me, and this is the two of us.
Right.
What's happening here is it's myself and
Yeah.
the other one.
Okay.
Move on to the next one.
The content. Okay, these are large, so I am going to see if I can make these sized correctly. This is bigger.
I can just start passing them out.
Sorry, it's just not sizing correctly here. Maybe that's as small as it gets. Okay. We're going to get this to the right size. So
We're going through them here. Oh, that's better. That's good. This is group, right? This is
yes, this is number two. This is second price in the intersection.
So I think my question would be, this is a huge proposal. There's so much artwork. How would this work if we only gave them? I guess they just would have to edit, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Can I comment on that?
Yes.
So a group of us are curating along with the head curator, Craig Koss.
Oh, okay.
And then, so everybody's gonna coordinate,
Got it.
and I believe they're making new art for the theme as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, so these are the
They
actual.
have until November, I think. I can't remember the date actually.
November.
Later on in the year, next year. So,
That's interesting.
I mean, for the proposal, if I may, we are showing what we have to demonstrate the theme that we're proposing.
And
Okay,
confidence.
and then that doesn't mean that between now and a year from now, we wouldn't be producing more things, so I agree, but since there's a theme that's proposed in each instance, I would assume we're demonstrating how the theme would be.
Okay. I'm not in opposition to that. However, it makes the decision it's a different decision, right? Like we can't base this on the actual artwork. We can base it on the style or what have you. But I think to speak to the piece of like the political whatever, I mean, we can't really monitor.
I will say that I was under the impression that they were submitting the artwork that would be displayed.
Yeah.
Not like their portfolio leaning into whatever.
Yeah.
Debbie, do you have any perspective on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to you on, which way to go.
I think again, this is a pilot program. So I think as we're learning, I think maybe we can get more explicit in what we ask of artists. And I think that it is a really good point. This is something that is objective. This is hard to maybe base some qualitative decisions if we're unable to see the specific artwork that would be displayed. I don't think we were clear in our request for proposals that that is what our expectation was. I do think maybe we can get more clarity on that moving forward, but I don't know. I don't think I can say with certainty that the RFP asked for the specific artwork that would be displayed and exhibited.
Okay.
And I think to the point of the comments that were made, you know, we are talking about for two of these exhibits, nearly a year from today. One of the criteria that we do have for Falkirk is that it is contemporary artwork. And so I think it may be a disservice to the artists to require them to use, you know, existing artwork if something is contemporary and fresh and relevant that happens in the next year. But I think that's a really good point and something we can look at as we move on.
Well, yeah, no, and I think what I was trying to get at is like, that doesn't bother me per se. I think
Right.
I'm trying to understand more of like city perspective. What if somebody brings something in and it is
That's,
quote unquote offensive?
that's where staff would have to step in and say, I'm sorry that piece is not appropriate for this venue.
Okay,
Oh, you-
so maybe it's part of the second part of the process of
Yes.
like signing the
Right.
agreement or what have you.
And being able to view what are they plan to bring in before the exhibit opens. And
And I do just want to say for the record, I think we're all artists here. You do generally submit the artwork that you plan on showing, unless it specifies otherwise. Unless it says like, show us examples that's similar to what you plan, or, you know, so it's very normal. It doesn't matter how far it is out. Because yes, obviously you're gonna create additional art in the forthcoming year. And I've had experiences where you can add, you know, you can submit extra things or say like, I prefer this to that, may I swap these out? But you need sort of a baseline, these are going to be there. And then, you know, if enough time passes and you're like, oh, I feel more strongly about this, but it's very normal to work that far out and to have like, I have various collections that I submit to various things.
Right, and I mean, contemporary doesn't mean done yesterday.
Right, contemporary just means,
Yeah, like a style. The other, I think that's a good point. The only other thing I'll say is that this is also a different situation where the artists are all curating their own shows.
right.
Where I feel like more often than not in galleries, that's not the role of the artist. The artist submits the work and then the gallery curates. So I think again, it's got this little bit of a, could go either way. Yeah. No, it's just, this is all good notes, helpful.
Okay, so we're still looking at number 2 here.
Okay, can I just chime in?
Yes.
Is there, I mean, are you guys opposed to just going month by month? I think that would help to, because like, by the time we get to number 11, I feel like it's all gonna kind of lead into each other, whereas like, we know that July, there's only 6 potential projects.
Oh, I see. You
Yeah.
mean look at all 6 that are available in July? That's fine. Yeah.
It just might make it easier to make a decision at the end of the
Well,
day.
then stop looking at this one, because they're not.
Yeah, this one is only enough.
Just a suggestion.
No, of course. And I, like, everyone will have their own thought process. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
so we looked at number 1, then I'm gonna pull up number 3 because they are available in that July start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then scroll down to examples here. Then it looks like number 9, Catherine Lee.
Number 5.
Yeah,
Number 5.
I'm sorry, number 5.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because of fossils.
Flowers also. I really just want to be her. I believe these are all color pencil, right? Yeah.
There was another. It's not showing up.
I think that's.
Okay, and then on to number 9.
I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. Did you give points to people that were? Did it matter if they were gonna put their work for sale versus not?
No.
Okay.
Okay, this is number 9. Okay, so that's number 9. And
Number
10.
Mhm.
11.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, are we, with Robert, were you proposing they make decisions month by month?
Well, we eventually have to. I don't think we need to do that necessarily, but just for me, like that's what I'm doing personally.
Okay, great. I prefer not to, just because I don't want, just because someone's available or not available. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
But I like the idea of going month by month. I think that's smart.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing like a ranked choice. You know, like ranked choice
Yes,
voting.
totally.
What would you like to see next?
So then we'll look at this September's.
Yeah,
Wait,
September.
September ones we haven't seen. What September ones we haven't seen, which is number 4.
Okay, so you see number 1, number 3, so we're on to number 4.
And I need to try it. Tired.
Whiteboard.
Here. Large. I'm not sure if that's indicative of the actual size. Okay, that's on the floor.
First 6.
Screen. Okay, number 6. Seven. Becky, just checking in. Can you still see the screen? Okay.
Yep, everything's looking good on this end.
Thanks.
They're already approved though for a show, right? Or no?
Not for 2024.
Oh, okay, but they usually have a show there?
Yeah, they have exhibited with us, I believe, the last 2 or 3 years.
Oh, the California Watercolor,
Yeah.
sorry, I was,
Yeah.
missed that part. Yes, they have been exhibited for the last few years,
Okay.
sorry.
Yes.
And does it say how many artists are exhibiting in this group?
I think that's a.
Given that they need all 3 rooms, I'm just curious.
They usually pack all 3 rooms with a lot of different work, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Then on to number 8.
So those are photos of the murals or?
Maybe a combination, some with photographs of artists in progress and.
Mhm.
And I think we already saw number 10 and number 11. I believe, is that everyone for? September?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And then. Is there anyone that was it number 2? I believe we saw number 2 early on.
Yeah,
so I'm
we
gonna
did.
go back to it just because it was.
So many.
I don't think we got all the way through.
Right.
Let's go back up to the top here.
Really very firm. Mhm. It looks like it's like installation. Unless that's just. Yes, please.
That is painted in the green in the background, and then they're spherical 3D on top of the paint.
It's yours?
Oh no. But it's in our group.
Okay.
I believe that is, we got a chance to see everything. Yeah.
Folks, excuse me, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for submitting.
Sure. Should we put the lights back on?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, look.
Well, I don't think it's gonna help if I'm here to make your selection, right? Because you're all independent of whatever I say. Will have no effect.
I would say that you will have an opportunity for public comment if you are interested in making any public comment. I think typically we'll do that kind of at the end before we make any final motions.
Oh, I see.
Yes, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome
Oh,
to go.
okay.
It'll be up to you.
Great. I'd love to hear it.
Are you doing this for yourself or?
Yes, I can share.
Okay.
This is tough. I'm very impressed with the overall level of work. It's really wonderful. And I love knowing that these many people, are they all in Marin-based artists or no?
Not all, that is reflected in this one of the criteria we took a look at.
Right.
So there's some weighting there. So generally speaking, I would say that if you see some of the higher scoring rankings, most of them are probably going to have some, at least if not all artists, some of the artists are going to be from Santa Clara. Some of the collectives, I do know that there were some individuals in the group shows that likely would be outside of Marin.
Right. Right. So are we gonna I guess we could start by talking about the fact that July has the least amount of applicants. So it may be the easiest month to decide. I mean, I guess we're just gonna open it up for questions, comments, feedback.
I have one personally for me resounding yes, one that really spoke to me, which was Catherine Lee.
Yes, I liked
her.
I thought that, I mean, it was obviously local, well, some of it. I thought it was a really interesting and beautiful interpretation, reinterpretation of places we look at all the time. And just the style, the technique was unusual, not very pedestrian, not something you see all the time. Is she the one that wrote the letter as well?
Yes.
We did receive a follow-up comment from
that actually doesn't factor into it one way or the other for me, but
I mean, I like that. That cuts that.
For July, I think Sue Summers, you know, her bird is kind of interesting too. And I know she do a lot of flowers as very detail as you know, and then she's with MSA. I saw a lot of her painting is really good to share there. She's yeah.
What did you think of Catherine Lee, since we're on that subject, just to start? Did you like her work?
I like her work, but I think it's harder to decide. You know, if you, I don't know how many rooms. I think Sue's work is good. It's very good. You know, she did a lot of hours. Very good. You know, the Catherine Lee, she's good too, but it's very hard.
Well,
kind of share.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, that they would get, we could decide on up to 3 rooms. Given that all of them have said that have submitted for July that they would be open to having 1 room, I would be of the inclination to try to give a room to each person or each group. Does that make sense to everyone else?
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Great. So, so then I think essentially we're taking these 6 artists that have said they're available in July and deciphering what 3 we can put forward for the recommendation. So can we do like a quick, so for Catherine Lee, you brought it up. I would second that. Robert?
Yeah, so I'll just, for me, I think the 2 that I really liked were 1 and 9. So Catherine Lee. And then, oh, okay, yeah. And then I have here like 3 or 5 in terms of filling the 3rd room. So that's kind of where my head's at. I really liked 1 and 9, and then I'm more flexible on the 3rd room, 3 or 5 versus my personal opinion.
Okay.
I agree with the first one. Yeah. How many rooms? 3 rooms, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 possible, yeah. But theoretically, you can do any combination. Like, for example, 1 says they prefer 2. So we weren't focused on filling rooms with multiple artists. We can give them 2, but then we're limited to only 1 per person.
Yeah, they're also available in September.
They are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I really liked the work. Number 1. Yeah.
Maybe we can mark our top 3 per month, and then.
Well, one other thing. Yeah, that makes sense. I think no, I understand. This is a new process. The other thing I think we need to take into account is like, how do the works, even if they're in different rooms, they should sort of talk to one another and have a relationship. To me, I just think that's kind of interesting, and or be really different from one another.
Right.
Like, I love the idea of there being like a whole room of those black and white photos in addition to a room with a lot of like collage based work, and then another one with a lot of paintings. I mean, to me, that was really interesting. But you know,
did they say how many pieces they have? Like this only piece they have here shown, or they have more pieces? I mean, maybe they show 5 pieces and they have 5 pieces. I think I have in there the wall, every room, take at least like a 20.
There's a lot of different ways to utilize this space in there. So I think once we notify an artist that they can exhibit with us, it will be up to them to make sure that they're filling the space.
Yeah, another thing that I realized that they didn't have the size there. They only show the picture because I do painting, you know, I put in painting on the wall. Sometimes the big painting take a lot of space. Sometimes the small tiny painting, they have a lot of them only take a small piece of wall. They have a 11 by 15 or they have a 30 by 60. So they need to give us the size, I think.
Well, that's what we were talking about before, though, is that these aren't necessarily even the exact pieces that are going to be shown in shows. So I think it would be up to them to curate it based on, if we say to them, you get 1 room, then they would have to figure out how to fit. I mean, I remember the hanging system.
Yeah,
I think like just nailing walls.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical building.
Yeah, so I'm sure Yeah.
They do nail it into the walls.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, you don't have have
We don't have a
wire?
hanging system now.
Oh.
They put it in.
So every person doing different nail there, hammering? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're saying you would like us to, I'm just trying to get everybody sort of feel on this. You would like to decide sort of like your top 3 for each month and then go back?
Well, I was gonna say we could, like, for instance, if we have our top 3, it includes somebody that's available for multiple months. And then we go to the next month and we either can't fill it or whatever, we can revisit and move them around. But
Yeah.
we would just go in order.
Okay.
That makes sense.
You mean we all do that by ourselves and then come back together?
No, I sort of feel like maybe we could do it together. I mean, it sounds like what other than Sue Summer, did you have any strong candidates for, I'm looking at both of you, I just can't see
Oh.
both of you, yeah. Did you have any other strong candidates for July? I know you said 1 and 9.
1 and 9 is really where I'm at, and
Okay.
I would take the 3rd. I would hear from you guys on the 3rd.
Okay.
really.
Yeah, I'm strongly involved for Sue and one is one, yeah. 1 and 9 and Sue. On the yeah,
Sue.
number 5, yeah.
I agree with 1 and 9, and I think Sue is an interesting choice. She's also available in November. And I also, as I said, like the idea of there being something a little bit different. So perhaps incorporating, I mean, her work is different. So
Yeah, the single number has, this has a lot of people available. This. That's a lot of people.
okay, well, so those seem like the top 3, it seems like, because you liked number 5 as well.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
I'm aligned with 1 and 9. The rest, I mean, I think the birds are beautiful. I don't know, it's really hard with like these big group shows and like not actually even knowing who's gonna be there.
I know, yeah, it's tough to actually like create it in your mind.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it sounds like we could all come to a consensus on these for now. So let's just maybe step away from that. And then I do want to say, I think we shouldn't base these on like knowing the art. It's hard because we all know a lot of artists, but we really should base this on, you know, what fits best. Okay, so September, what did everybody think?
So
What do you say?
that's
Should we just go down the list? I have my list.
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, so my top 3 are 4, 6, and 8 for September. No. So let's see. 4 and 6, I thought looked really cool together. I'm not an artist. I didn't consider like contrasting collections, so I thought they would look cool together. It's my reason for that. I like those.
Good. 4, 6, and 8, you said?
Yeah, 8,
Okay.
I just thought was a little more unique, or it stood out as different than the other collections in this list for me. Different, I think, is the right word. Yeah.
I'm aligned with 8.
I'm aligned with 8 too, for sure.
I think 6 and 8.
Yeah, I see 6 was one I was considering as well. Does anybody need to go back and look at it or no?
And I also really like 7, I should say, but the fact that they want all 3 rooms kind of like dissuades me a little bit, because then it's taken away from other people.
I think that the watercolor group did just take all 3 rooms maybe because they have so many pieces. Yeah.
I do wonder if we could get back to them and just ask if they'd be open to doing one. I think they're basing that on the fact that in the past they've had the option you know.
Yeah, but they put it down 3 rooms, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe it's not.
They put it down 3 rooms, maybe the rest of the group show at the end.
Mhm.
Well, I
Not
guess we could,
organized, wow.
so how do we feel about number 7? Like, does anyone really want to give them all 3 rooms for one of those? Because then that would,
No.
No, I like the work. I would like to consider giving him a room, but I really love the idea that we're trying to get as many people in there as possible, given how many people responded to the application.
And
Yeah,
mixing things
right.
up
Yeah.
since they've had a lot of exhibits before, and also like some of those watercolors were unbelievable,
Yeah.
and then some others were water.
I concur that. Well, maybe we hold off on finalizing the September one and then keep going to November, because that was when the most people were available. That's the best thing to do. So we had number 2, the ones we haven't talked about at all. We have number 2.
I don't think we've talked about 10 or 11.
Number 2, are you talking about number 2? Is this one of you?
Yeah, Craig.
Yeah, so we check the one room.
Yeah. One room.
Yeah.
Two I thought had some interesting.
Yeah, I
pieces.
liked 2.
I really
thought
liked
there was
2.
a lot of interest. Okay, so then that's an easy one.
By the time we got to November, 2 was the only one.
Yeah, they could only do that. I'm just looking at the others.
I personally did not care for the photographs, but I'm also not really a photography person. So
You're talking about number
10.
Actually, number 10, number 11 has put that.
Yeah,
Look at 10 and 11.
yeah, sure.
Or
Um,
can look at the
It's
pages, too.
interesting. I actually really liked the photographs from number 11.
I like there were certain things
And I didn't love
from
the, I didn't feel like the other ones fit as well.
Okay, so this is going to be number 10.
I think there was like a nuance to photography that doesn't make.
Well, they're also silver gelatin, correct?
Yeah.
So they would look a lot richer in
Yeah.
person. I just think they're different.
Yeah, they are definitely, yeah, it's a difference.
One thought I had was, like, for example, there was some photography work with number 8, right? There's that photography work. I mean, there's also the argument to be made that we could, like, sort of put together shows that have that sort of like medium in common.
Mm-hmm.
Could put in like, you could photograph and put them together in one room.
Oh, no, I don't think we can ask them to share a room. It'd be nice though, then we wouldn't have to make so many decisions.
Because this way you can put more, decent people there.
Yeah.
So don't let me influence that. I just like, I look at these and I'm like, yep.
No, you're sitting here. That's it.
But I do love the fact that it is like a black and white or, silver photography.
Maybe after that we see 11.
Yeah, he's number 11. They were able to get everything on one page, but I'm happy to zoom in on individual images.
Yeah, this looks cool, I think.
So like, if you can you zoom in a little bit, like the photos are really wonderful. That's a photo up there. And then if you scroll down, there's like a mangrove tree or something like also.
Yeah,
that really caught my eye. It's so sculptural. Yeah, that one. Like, okay, so that's a question. Is it possible to say your photos? No, we have to. I mean, I like the other work too. I just feel like it's not really different.
I would leave it up to you and how you want to guide your next steps you would take. I think I was honestly, this may be a little tangential. I was thinking about what is the recommendation that needs to be made here. So I think it's something to think about and how we'd like to recommend we move forward. But it could get difficult if we're asking artists to choose, specific types.
Yeah.
Artwork. I agree that might be difficult for us to do. But, I don't know, Debbie, any thoughts on that? Okay. Yeah.
Not to throw another problem at us, but the other piece that could be interesting is to try to like theme them a little bit. So, for example, number 10 is photographs of the Marin landscape. Number 5 is the birds of Marin County. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's also a way to sort of think.
But then I sort of feel like those are the only ones that feel, because they're group shows and like, and we don't even know what's gonna be in them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that.
I shouldn't get too
two-
caught up in that.
Well, no, I love it. I love it in theory, but we don't, you know, like other than the 2 Marin specific ones.
Yeah.
Although I guess,
Well, and then like
Catherine
Catherine
was
Lee,
also-
yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. I don't know how well we'd be able to achieve that. For the 2. Yes, we did Craig Cross, right? Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
Our apologies for giving you such a tough decision for the pilot.
Okay, so. Yeah, because like.
There, do there anything six? Yes. I like that. I did, yeah. We already have.
Well, maybe we didn't decide. Why? Where do you want it to go?
Oh, I didn't. I'm just like trying to sort.
This you're good, right?
Yes.
Anything that we haven't talked about?
Three, I think.
No,
Three, I remember only hard, they have like all different material use.
yeah, it's
Hard, yeah.
It's a little folksy, which is not necessarily feminine.
It's like one,
Yeah.
one style, but
I mean, a different.
it's culture, yeah, which is kind of fun. The other thing is we can consider for like these ones, for example, the number 2, giving more than one room because there was so much work and such varied work.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
choose
true.
one room at one time.
Yeah, I mean that's surprising to me. I feel like
So actually, yeah.
okay, so I think let's revisit July and make some finalized decisions. We definitely liked, I think, 9, and then I changed this. This was 1. But I mean, I would put 1 wherever it would go. I think that was one of my top picks.
On the screen here, whenever, if you feel like you'd like to maybe lock one in, would it be helpful for maybe highlight in some way?
Sure.
Can I take a look at one?
1 was, yeah, sure.
Would you like me to highlight the name of the group or maybe the X and month?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna highlight this as, I think it's supposed to be green or yellow.
I actually.
Yellow,
could.
Yeah.
If we were
I
gonna
don't
do
know. Judging art, I can't tell what color that is.
like that, and then I would do 6, 8, 1, and then I would do 2, maybe getting more than 1. That's my, I did that wrong. I was gonna move these.
So did I hear earlier that number 9 as well, or are we still?
I think we all like.
Yeah, I think 9 is a yes for sure for July.
Okay. I'm probably not sharing my screen here. Okay.
Number 5.
Uh-huh.
You know, her bird is.
For my,
I don't hate this idea of bird.
The landscape photographer, right?
I don't hate that for
You don't
July.
hate that.
And then,
Yeah, and then
do
1
Cindy
can
and
go in
Susan.
September.
yeah,
What do you think? Okay, here's my, so far my
Yeah, so-
proposal is, what if we did 1, 5, and 10 for July? I'm sorry,
Nine.
Not at all, 9, 10, and 5, so 9, 5, and 10, however, I can't do it in order. Yes, I agree with
You
that.
say 10? What is that? One?
Yeah, just go, let's just think this through. So that's the black and white photography of Marin, the Sue Summers birds of Marin, and then
I'm sorry, you said 9.
Catherine Lee's images of the Bay Area
Yeah.
in general. Yes. That's kind of an, I don't know. Yeah. Then for September, 1, 6, and 8. And then for November, we have 2 for sure. Potentially even giving them 2 rooms.
Yeah, they asked for.
And then we don't have anything else. And that's where I leave you.
If it 2 room, they asked 1 room, do you have a lot of things for 2 room? Because they only
That's
asked.
like asking me if I want 2 Christmas presents. Yes.
They'll take as much as we'll give them.
It says minimum rooms required, so they're willing to do 1, but all of the artists, I believe, submitted proposals thinking that they would have access to all 3 groups.
Yeah, see, 'cause that's kind of a shame for me because I see here I would have added like a room for the California Watercolor Association, but I don't feel like I want to give them 3. I agree. Just given
1 room or 2 rooms?
My suggestion might be that if you wanted to try to work with California Watercolor Association, you could direct staff to go back to them and say, we do have this date available, but we only have 1 room for you. Are you interested in showing? And if not, then we go to the alternate on your list.
Okay.
So.
I mean, the other thing, since, let's see, all of the ones in September, November groups, so we could do 2 and 2. And then they each get.
Wait,
They only have 3 rooms.
I know.
Hey, I did
like
go
the
to math school, only went to art school.
So what do you guys think of number 4 too? I liked it.
Was that the super colorful one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dream of fun. Maybe a coming.
What I liked about it was that it was the only one that was extremely bright. Like I did think that I appreciate some vibrancy, especially because a lot of art tends to get murky. But also it didn't super exciting. But I did love the color. Yes. Yeah, really beautiful.
So you guys wouldn't vote for it, basically. Okay.
But if you felt really strong,
Yeah.
I could.
No, I'm just bowling the group.
So basically, we're choosing between what we have not selected so far is 3, 4, 7, and 11.
No, which months you talking? Which months we talking?
We have not, so for everything else so far, let's just say we went with this format. So far, we have selected all the other numbers. The only numbers we haven't selected are 3, 4,
Yeah.
excuse me,
7, 11.
7, and 11.
I would maybe throw my hand up for 11.
Yeah, me too. I think the 11 was.
Out of those, that was, I mean, not that we have to, we could give 2 rooms to the second Friday, but I feel like, I don't know.
11 is interesting.
Yeah, I thought those
Yes,
photos were really.
3 different technique, photograph, so ink.
I feel like that
print.
What if we said 2, 11, and then what's the there's the God, my brain's like starting to make, and 7.
If they,
if they will do.
If they will do 1, and if they don't,
Then we can give the other one a second credit cost.
yeah, that's exactly what my thought was.
No, you mean under the California watercolor 1 room? Or
So you make that a different color, Craig, so we can.
Sure. I just put a note there, X assumes one room.
These are all suggestions, by the way, we need to
Correct,
actually
yes.
vote. Yeah. What does everybody think?
I think I'm on the same page as Beth, except for November.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
But
Make an
I'm
argument for
actually not
November.
opposed to. I'm not opposed, I guess. The November ones, I just didn't have strong feelings either way,
Okay,
other than number 2.
okay, so
I
you
like
really like
number
number 2.
Yeah,
And you didn't feel strongly about the California watercolor piece.
I liked them, I just don't, like assuming the 3 is set in stone, I would have given them the whole.
So who would you give yours to? Number 4?
Yeah, but
No, this is.
It's fine
This
if,
is why we have discussion.
And my thing with the watercolor association is simply that they have like done this many times.
Fair.
It has nothing to do with like the work one or the other. It's just kind of like we decided to open this up to a broader community, and I think it's like a lot of bravery to put yourself out there. Like that.
those are all on number 2.
All right, so
Or the dreams.
time is it?
7:27.
I'm happy to put something up on the screen. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, here, I mean, I'm not.
I want to take a lot of.
I mean, those are
Oh, that's so
unique.
cool. Yeah, I like it.
They're for a specific
It's for the
audience
children.
that I don't think is otherwise being addressed.
Mhm.
I don't know if that audience is Falkirk. I'm not sure that matters. I don't think that looked like,
Oh, they did it.
right? We're not trying to cater to a certain. So all my instincts are probably.
No. Okay. Well, it seems like we've got July and September, we seem to have pretty good consensus on. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's really just November. We can all agree that number 2 is a go.
Yes.
And that we're not sure about the others.
The other, well, you mean the watercolor group or somebody else?
I think
I wouldn't mind asking the watercolor group if they want to. Plus rooms.
Okay, yeah,
But I would also make the argument against it because it says like minimum rooms required and they said 3.
Yeah.
Like they could have said 1 or 2.
That's fair.
And maybe we, like.
No.
If they're thinking, oh, well, that's our only chance, I'm sure they would. probably
Maybe they have a
one room.
tough decision to make because they're a group of people. How many people you want?
Yeah.
Right.
You have 50 people, you take 10, the other 40 not happy. So maybe that's why they want 3 rooms. You give them 1 room, how many people they want to, they will be like not equal for their membership. So somebody not happy, a lot of people not happy for 1 room. Yeah. Either you take them or not take them. I think
Okay.
Yes.
If I could just maybe share a little context
Yeah.
on the number of rooms, I think in the initial RFP, we did not ask a couple of these questions. We realized when we got 26 applications that we were going to need some additional information to help us narrow down the list. So what we did is we followed up with artists and we did ask whether they'd be willing to share and how many rooms they prefer.
Yeah.
And so that is when we received that information. I think we did share with artists that we're trying to do the best we can to allocate space to meet the broadest number of artists and try to do as many artists in this.
Yeah, you can outbreak where we want.
I think that's where my brain was going. It's like, I'd really like to see every group have a chance to show, just because that's as many artists as we could possibly give. But if they're not willing to do 1 room, then that makes it easy. What are your thoughts? You've worked with this group before. Do you think they'll go for 1 room?
I really can't say. They've been doing it for so many years. I think they would probably be pleased if they have the opportunity to come back, even if it's only 1 room, but they might also find that an obstacle and that they have too many artists to choose from. So It'll just be a conversation with them, see what their thoughts are. And it might help them reevaluate next year from the same big event, they might then choose, okay, well, we might only get one room instead of three.
Yeah. I totally hear what you're saying. And I think I'm always in the camp of just showing as many artists as we can and giving opportunity there, especially if the works for sale. But I do hear what you're saying. Do we want to take a vote? Maybe on November, like maybe we can go through and just see. Like, so for example, is 2, that's a definite yes from everybody? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're in-
Okay. And then maybe we can just get take a poll here. So number 7, the watercolor, assuming they say they'll take one room, would that be a yes?
For me, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I would say yes. I would probably say no, but
Okay. Where would you put your vote then for the 3rd?
I would be more inclined to give Craig Cost 2 rooms or offer it to the acrylics that Sandoval likes. Sorry, I can't remember your first name. I'm so sorry.
That's probably how he's known around town.
That's Sandoval in the brain. That would be my instinct.
I don't necessarily disagree. Okay, so this is where I think we're really stuck. November.
Well, I mean, you could just make the proposal and see if
Okay.
it's voted on. I mean, if it gets rejected or not.
Sure, let's do that. All right, so let's why don't we just move through the actual months that we seem like we're really sure on. Can I get a motion to approve the 3 proposed shows for July?
Yes.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Oh,
Yeah,
someone.
I just want to, let's get kind of a point of order, kind of procedurally.
We have to go
make
one
sure
by
we're
one, don't
clear.
we? Okay.
Well, I don't think we necessarily have to go one by one, but I think what might be nice for us as staff is just to kind of capture the names of the artists for the month of July, just so that we're really clear on what that is.
Got it.
So maybe a motion to approve.
Got it.
Just because what's on the screen isn't necessarily, I don't know if everybody can see that. So yeah. Just kind of read
That's how we know them, number 5.
and then I think, like I said, I wasn't sure exactly how this recommendation would need to be put together, but it sounds like maybe 3 separate recommendations, a recommendation for each of the exhibits.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's
Okay, great.
Okay, so then for July, can I get a motion to recommend Sue Summer? A motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Oh, we're going one by one.
You can do the.
Oh, the few.
It's kind of read all.
All right.
Part of it.
Let's try this again.
And we'll do a roll call. I get roll call vote. for
Oh,
each of
okay.
those exhibits.
Sorry, Becky, I didn't read my script. Back to my old
This is the
script
name
here.
of the exhibit too.
And one other kind of just procedural thing here too. I think since discussion is over, maybe before you do the vote, I do want to offer opportunity for any public
Oh,
comment.
yeah.
I should leave.
No, you can stay,
No,
but opportunity for public comment, and I did just again want to acknowledge, we did receive the written public comment from Catherine Lee, which you received earlier.
Yes.
Oh, I do. Can I just ask a general question?
Sure.
So you received 26 and then you did the rankings and you said that there was a big gap between 11 and 12. Just for my future reference, is that there's like not a world where we see the other ones?
You know, I think if you wanted to see the other ones, we could definitely introduce them.
I'm not trying to make this go until 11 o'clock. I'm just genuinely curious.
No, I think it's a great question. It's actually something that we did mull over. How many of these proposals should we bring? What would be, helpful to you in decision making? And I think this is where we landed. Again, this is a pilot process. I think we're open to changing this. This is actually very informative to kind of see how the decision making has come together. And I think that we're very open to recommendations in the future if you'd like to see, more or less, maybe further in advance, prior to the meeting, more opportunity to review more information presented different ways. So I think we're very open to that. I wouldn't say that they're excluded. I think if you did want to see more, we could. I think our concern here was that given the highly competitive nature of the space, that we felt bringing more would just make it more and more challenging to make decisions. And I think to give you an idea, like I think there are about 95 total points available based on our initial eligibility criteria. All of these receive at least 75 points or higher, which they gave them an 80% score greater. They were some of them were very close, 75, 76, 77, all the way up to, kind of 90, 95 points for the highest ranking. From that number 11 to number 12, I think it went from 75 points to 70 points. So there's like a 5-point drop. And then it kind of progressively dropped from there. And that was the only real kind of natural break that we saw to delineate between kind of that upper group and the lower. So that was kind of our decision making and why we landed on that. But it's a great question.
I have none. I have too many thoughts. But what was I going to say? I mean, definitely seeing things ahead. Oh, I know what I was going to say. For me personally, I think seeing more would make it easier, to be honest with you, especially since a lot of these are group shows, like, and holding the fact that it's not the art that will be displayed. A lot of this is very hard. Now we're kind of just going on like instincts. But a lot of these are, I mean, art in general, it's iterative and a lot of it is similar. And I don't know, for me, when I saw Catherine's work, I was like, yes, like no question in my mind. And pretty much everyone else, I could have gone, I could have been argued one way or the other. And I think that if you're presenting 26, it's probably you're going to have 3 or 4 like yes from an art, like from that gut perspective. But I also don't know, I don't the city, I don't know how much of that does factor in. So maybe again, I'm not trying to conflate this meeting and make everything that much more difficult, but maybe for future reference, and definitely seeing everything ahead of time. Definitely. And then we can all show up with our our own scoring systems, and then it's much easier for us to just have a conversation. And also if artists are in the room, like you can manage your feedback rather than trying to figure it out in real time. It did not influence anything. But it's if Noah was here, I would feel terrible being like, what are these photos about?
Yeah, definitely some good points, good feedback to take into consideration.
Okay, next one. So no, we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So sorry. No, it's okay. So can I get a motion to approve the following artists for the July recommended shows? Sue Summer.
I'll just say it.
Oh.
Yeah. I would motion to select Sue Summer, Catherine Lee, and Noah Godsman for July.
Great. Can I get a second? Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Becky?
Yep, I'll take roll. Thank you. Let's see here. Oh, I messed up my script here. Okay, Member Merritt?
Yes. Yes.
Member Sandoval?
Yes.
Chair Schaufler?
Yes.
And Member Zhao?
Yes.
All right, motion approved.
All right. And then do you want to make the motion someone for the September shows? Me?
Are we aligned on that?
Oh, I don't know. Are we aligned on that? I thought we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to approve the proposed September shows?
Yeah.
Commissioner Sandoval, I have motion to approve Cindy Ostroff and Susan Turek, Renee Kelly, Scott Meadows, Scott Hewitt, and David Ryan for September.
And then Becky takes roll.
Second.
Oh, I got a second. Second. Yeah.
Okay. Member Merritt?
Yes.
Member Sandoval?
Yes.
Chair Schaufler?
Yes.
And Member Zhao? All right, motion approved. Thank you.
Okay, so that's 2. Now comes November. I think we all agree on number 2, you know that. I think. Okay, one more question to throw something in, just to be as inclusive as possible. In the case of something like with Nikki Contini's work, it's 3D. How is that exhibited there? Is there pedestals throughout the room?
Yes.
So in theory, in that case, could the room then in fact be shared with like a 2D artist and a 3D artist?
I don't think that would be a great idea.
Okay.
Just because of the spacing of the pedestals and where things are and how the art's displayed, I think we're better off just going with one artist versus multiple.
For your judgment.
How many artists are in your collective?
Well, we have 13, but not all are participating.
Okay, do you know how many are?
Let me tell you. I know I am not, so I'm -1 for sure, and then -2, so.
Okay, and that's one.
Awesome.
That's totally possible.
But since we're curating and the spots are limited, we're not exactly sure, who we can allow to be put up, or maybe more to the point is we're gonna have our own selection and decide who gets to be up.
Okay.
If that
Multiple
makes,
people.
yeah, yes,
Okay.
probably one per person. And of course it's gonna be cohesive.
Okay, so we have that one, and then Dana Christensen, we've come back to a few times. I would be open to that. It sounds like everybody's open to that. No? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
That's fair. I'm really not sure how to make this decision.
well, we don't have to be in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, this is probably how I would vote. But I guess I can just add, how do I handle that then in this case where I know that not everyone's going to say it?
Do you want us each to give our 3 choices?
Yes, give your 3 choices. That's helpful.
Yeah.
I will write it down. So.
Me? Obviously 2. I agree with 11. And I think I'm backpedaling and I'm gonna say 4.
Okay. You're 3.
Yeah, I think the 2, 11. I think of course will stay there for kind of us. Especially when I think this out, this one. Really nice.
Okay, great. So that's 2 for
Well,
those 3.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Great. That's easy. Honestly, I'm on board. Let's make a vote. Can I get a motion
Real
to?
quick, just to kind of represent.
Yeah,
what
apparently they're
what I heard on the screen here would be,
For school 11.
so I'm doing this in a
Word.
clunky way. Oops, nope, that was really clunky, sorry, everyone.
okay.
So I heard 2, 11, and 4, is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the proposed November shows?
Oh, I can do it. Yeah. I motion for the November shows, Craig Koss, Marie Cragen, and where are we? Dana Christensen. Can I get a second?
Second.
Oh, double second. All right.
All right. So member Merritt,
Yes.
member Sandoval,
Yes.
Chair Schaufler,
Yes.
and member Schaufler.
Yes.
All right, motion approved.
I think one other thing I'd like to say, about this is it's hard to choose between the individual and the group shows. Like if it's a group show, in some ways, I kind of want to automatically give them multiple rooms, but you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Patty just brought up a good point. If for some reason one of these artists come back and say that, you know, one room isn't gonna be enough, or
Yeah.
we're no longer able to participate, do you want to choose a backup for each one of those months?
That's a good idea.
Sorry to add more
No,
to
No,
like,
it's not adding anything. No.
Could we meet again? Could we convene again if that happens? Or is it kind of like a last minute?
it might be kind of a last minute situation. I mean, all these artists may decide in January that these shows work for them and we get them on board, and then all of a sudden something happens, life crisis, and then they need to pull out. The other option is that if an artist does pull out, we could work with the remaining 2 artists to provide them with more space to show. And then you don't have to make any additional changes either if we want to go that direction.
The backup. Yeah, go ahead.
I personally like the idea of giving them more space if someone backs out, but
But for example, with like July, they're all individual artists that we chose. So I would actually, certainly for that month, I would choose a backup. Just because I think that if you're planning on one room for an artist, it may actually, there may not be enough work to sympathize. So, but where we have the group shows, I totally agree with that. I think it would be.
Yeah, September's all group.
Yeah. So
We don't-
you go ahead.
for July, we don't really have a backup option.
Well, we could just choose some of the collective,
3.
like number 3.
Yeah.
That would be a nice gesture.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to vote on that.
You know, I think we could probably just take that as staff direction at this point, and I don't know if we need a separate recommendation or motion for that. I think that what I heard though, just to kind of read that back, is that you make a recommendation, have an alternate or a backup, and for July, that would be the Nikki Contini show, number 3 on the list. And then would you like to make any recommendations for September or November?
Number 10.
We've selected everything.
I think.
I would just say expand. I guess we'd have to get which one expands.
Well, I think we could, I
Staff.
think staff can direct, like what
Yeah.
pieces do you have, we can figure out how to work the room.
September, they're all group shows, so I feel like if something.
Yeah,
like
that's
that-
easy.
Yeah.
I was thinking more November, that we only have one group show, which I assume they wouldn't cancel.
Oh, no.
But in that case, maybe we just, if something like that happens, perhaps in that case, you reach out to the California Watercolor Association. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of work on hand.
Yeah.
In that case.
And we will have several meetings prior to that point as well. So I think if staff needed additional direction and wanted to bring, you know, a different decision point back to you, we definitely could do that.
Great.
Okay.
I think that's it. Yeah, yeah.
I think for that particular item, I think
We made it work. Do we open it up for public comment at this point?
I just want to verify, did you have an adequate opportunity to speak? I'm trying to recall if we skipped over that or not.
Well, of course, I'm happy with the result. I'm not sure if it's 100% final, but it is sounding very good. So I appreciate that. And
Staff will be in touch with you.
Okay.
to confirm.
Yes.
and then I appreciate being able to participate.
Yeah.
I had no idea that this is what happened, so it was really
This is
great.
This is
Yeah,
good.
it is.
You know, very positive experience.
How we like it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
What about the
Oh, yes, thank you.
Then we have, that's, so we just did all that, that's great. Then the next agenda item is reviewing the 2024 meeting schedule.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up here. in this
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this, by the way, to review the art.
We are happy that you're here to do it.
It's like Sophie's choice, right?
It's a lot of pressure off the staff too.
It does, and I think as you've seen, these are tough decisions, and I think it's really helpful to have you here for your support. So, on an annual basis, we're hoping to bring to you just a review of the board meeting schedule. Since this board meets quarterly, this one is fairly straightforward, but we did want to share the thinking for 2024. Last year we met in January, April, July, and we were scheduled to meet in October. However, we wanted a little additional time to review these Falkirk exhibit proposals, so we ended up delaying this meeting until tonight. So what we're proposing for 2024 would be January 17th, April 17th, July 17th, and October 16th. Now, we're happy to make adjustments right now. If you notice that there are conflicts on your calendar immediately, things that would make those dates challenging, then what I would do is take some recommendations. What we have to do on our end is try to make sure that these meetings fit in and align with any other public meetings that our department are responsible for. So we may need to go back and double check. And, as you've experienced in the past year, we're able to make adjustments as we approach meetings. We'll always check out to the board, make sure that we're able to verify that we're going to have a quorum. If not, we can always make adjustments. So whatever we decide this evening it doesn't have to be set in stone. These are recommendations in the proposed schedule, and then we'll always verify as we closer. So that being said, I think the action we'd be looking for this evening is a recommendation to adopt some specific dates. You're welcome to make any changes you'd like, and then we go from there.
Does it have to be on a Wednesday?
What we set up initially was that we'd meet on the third Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. Just kind of a standing meeting on a quarterly basis. It does not. We could adjust that, but again, I think we just want to go back on our end and make sure that that's going to align with other boards, committees that we're responsible for maintaining, and it's just going to make sure it fits in. Since you only meet quarterly, though, I think that's something that we can take a look at and find a different date to work better for you.
Okay, I definitely can't do January 17th.
Okay.
But I can do the 16th.
So put that to a change to January 16th, and I'm just gonna look at the calendar real quick here. So that would be the Tuesday, January 16th, and myself. To double check, I'm not sure if we would have any conflicts there, but I can double check our calendars.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else? For conflict?
I have nothing. I have two. Maybe not.
I know. Oh yeah, July is going to be a problem.
That's going to be hard. But I don't know anything enough right now. Like I have like a 2-week intensive in July. I'm imagining that smack in the middle is not going to work, but I don't actually have dates.
So maybe we start with April 17th. That's not during spring break, is it? No. Break. It's really late this year. No, it's the 8th through the 12th. That works for me. I don't know if anyone else. Enough time for me. The 17th of April, July 17th could be tough, but so far same thing. And I'm pretty sure nobody has anything scheduled for October 2024, but who knows? So I think that would be the only one. Yeah.
So January going to be 16 or 17?
Well, they're doing a check. I can't do the 17th.
Okay. I'm okay for anything before 19 because I've got a job vacation from 20 to February, about 4 weeks.
Great.
So before that, I'm open.
Great.
Which month was that?
She's going
January 20. I go to China for Chinese New Year.
Cool. Yeah, wonderful.
It's fine. Yeah. So yeah, before that, fine for me.
So yeah, if you can let us know about that.
I think January 16th. I'm happy to make an adjustment right now, and just we can. I would just adhere your motion to adopt.
Yeah.
With that change, and then I can come back, and of course we'll just make adjustments if we need to.
Great. can I get a motion and a second to accept the currently proposed 2024 meeting schedule?
I can motion.
2024. Yeah.
Yep. Commissioner Sandoval, motion to approve the proposed 2024 meetings.
Give me a second.
Second.
All right. Member Merritt,
Yes.
Member Sandoval,
Yes.
Chair Schaufler, and Member Zhao.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you. He's always good on these. I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Oh, I know him. It's from your other board.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, it's. And then, oh, we have another agenda item, the staff liaison report.
And I'm gonna keep it
Right.
really brief because I know that it's almost 8 o'clock and I wanna honor your time. So I just want to again just say thanks, for being here and the intentionality in your decision making. I know those are tough decisions, but we're hoping that, we can learn from this process. So I'm definitely gonna be able to take the feedback that we heard tonight. And I think what we'll probably do is as we're talking with artists and lining up the exhibit schedule for next year, we'll learn from this process and plan for the next call for artists. How can we make sure on the front end that we're collecting the information we need and presenting it to you in a way that makes sense. So by all means, if you have other thoughts or feedback after this process, we're happy to hear that. And also open to comments from the public, from the artists themselves too. I know that we said yes to many of the artists, but we are saying no to many other artists. And so I think we're open to suggestions and feedback from them on how this process will make sense to either many artists as we come in. So, but again, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited about this because these are challenging decisions for us to have to make. So, and we saw a really good turnout for the artists. Just a couple of things I want to mention. Upcoming events. We have the Park and Recreation Commission meeting tomorrow night, right here in this room at 6 p.m. And then on November 20th, City Council. November 25th, the Holiday of Lights in Winter Wonderland in downtown San Rafael. And then they're hosting an event. It's ongoing from November 26th to December 21st. The Great Downtown San Rafael Elk Hunt is happening. So some great downtown events taking place. I mentioned it earlier, but I'll say it again, that we have a call for artists deadline for Falkirk's, the Gathering of Color, the art exhibit that's taking place in January. So any artists that maybe didn't get a space in our exhibit that are interested, they can still apply and submit a proposal for that. The deadline is December 11th. And then December 16th is the San Rafael Lighted Boat Parade.
Sorry, what was the theme like that?
The title is A Gathering of Color. And Patty, who's helping with?
Do you have flyers? Do you have flyer and do you writing like a little card or flyer?
We don't have a flyer, but it is on our website.
Oh, on the website, right?
Is it also on like cafe and the other one?
It's on cafe.
Yep.
So that's being guest curated. Is that what I'm understanding?
And then one note, I just wanted to apologize. Typically at this meeting annually, we would have a agenda item to select the chair and the vice chair responsibilities because those are 1-year appointments. So Chair Schaufler, your term, and I believe Vice Chair Merritt, your terms are coming to close in December of 2023. So what we're planning for is that at our January meeting, that would be an agenda item that we'll bring forward. And so Chair Schaufler, Vice Chair Merritt, you would start off that meeting and then we'll just do a handoff once we elected. If there's any changes there, you would be eligible to continue on for future terms. We always recommend that, multiple staff have opportunities to step into those roles, but I just wanted to, share that with you that be thinking about that for the next couple of months until the January meeting. So, but that's all I got on my own.
Great.
Anything else from you?
Thank you.
So then, do we have we're supposed to open it up for any public comment at this time. Becky, is there anyone there for public comment?
Since no one's in the room, we're not currently accepting any virtual public comment at this point in time. So.
Wait, is that just not happening going forward at all?
That's correct. Yeah, that is
that the
true
Brown Act
for,
thing?
So, as a public meeting, we are required to accept public comment and we encourage it. We want it to happen. However, in recent months, we've experienced some really serious kind of Zoom bombing incidents that have been really impactful and have included a lot of hate speech. That's a regional occurrence that's been taking place. And one of the responses has been for an intern basis here that we have limited public comment and online.
Got it. Okay, then any board member reports, other brief reports on meetings, conferences, and or seminars attended by board members? I think I shared about the Downtown Saranac Arts District last time, but we're continuing on the strategic plan process, and we've had some exciting events that continues, so that's exciting. I don't really know.
Ground Floor is doing their first, well, I guess they're brand new, but they're trying to.
Are you a member?
Yeah. They're doing like a holiday marketplace, and they have art up as well. No, I don't know what they're doing, but I'm excited for them. I love it in theory.
Great. I think that's it then. So then if anybody has anything else to share? No? All right, then I will adjourn the meeting at 8:02 p.m. Good job, everybody. I know.